I've listened to OK Computer by Radiohead for 7 years.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the Record Ranking Podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. I'm James, and with me, notorious Radiohead hater, it's Connor.
Hater's a strong word.
Disliker is a weaker word.
Yeah, I think disliker's okay.
Okay, Radiohead disliker, Connor.
I'll accept that.
This is another year of redemption pick. I can justifiably call Connor a Radiohead disliker because last time we talked about Radiohead was on episode 53. We talked about Kid A, gave it a score. That was our second year. I guess it was the first episode in the Year of Vengeance. Probably it contributed to the Year of Vengeance, now that I'm thinking about it.
It probably did.
But we did Radiohead, and
Your third highest pick?
that's right.
Still your third highest pick?
Yeah, still my number 3 ranked album.
All these years later?
All these years later, nothing's topped it yet.
And my, third from the bottom?
It's a low one for you. Yeah, you scored Kid A 2 big lemon suckers.
It is my third from the bottom.
Yes, it's your third. It wasn't at the time.
Third from the top versus third from the bottom.
At the time, it was your lowest ever.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you wouldn't go much lower than it until Kid Cudi and then Wu-Tang Clan.
For a while.
That's pretty wild to me. But you had some complaints about Kid A. You know, you thought the songs were long and the instruments were meandering, and you said the shallow lyrics were a problem. You said each line felt like it could be pulled out of a hat randomly, which is not untrue.
I know it's not. That's why I said it.
Yeah. And what you said about Kid A was it exists for the people who are into it. That was not you.
Sure wasn't.
We said it was more like listening to a painting and stuff. And so when we got to the Year of Redemption, I was like, I gotta include Radiohead. We can't get lower than a 2. I mean, we could, in theory.
You sure could. First 0?
If this is the first 0, something's wrong. This should definitely be higher than Kid A, by my estimation, because...
It's not for you, though, apparently.
No, it's not. It's lower than Kid A for me. But for you, I'm just taking into consideration all of your thoughts about Kid A. If you're talking about Radiohead, I mean, I thought long and hard about whether I wanted to give you an album that was going to be surefire, more up your alley, or maybe something that came after Kid A, like In Rainbows and stuff. Like, I just wasn't sure. But, man, for a second Radiohead episode, we'd really be remiss not to talk about OK Computer. Honestly, we maybe should have done it for the first time around.
There's like a soft opening to Radiohead.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that soft of an opening. It's just also pretty widely regarded, honestly, by most people, as the better album of the two. The best in their discography, I think most people would say OK Computer is.
Dang.
Yeah. And you'll notice it listens more like a traditional album. The songs are more song-shaped. They're a little shorter, less meandering. The lyrics are a lot more logical.
Song-shaped.
Yeah. I decided we should rewind it a couple years to OK Computer. The reason they even made Kid A the way that they did was because after OK Computer, they noticed that they had a lot of imitators, and they said a lot of bands sound like us. They wanted to change it. So OK Computer is like one way, and Kid A is deliberately not that way. So I'm hoping that if you didn't like what they deliberately did against OK Computer, maybe you will like what they did first. And the thing about OK Computer is, like, there's still traces of what makes Radiohead Radiohead, and not just another rock band. They still innovate a lot with song structure. There's weighty and, like, dark lyrical storytelling. All these soundscapes and instrumentation are still there. But they do it in a way that's a bit more palatable for the average listener. A lot less like listening to a painting and more like kind of a concept album, even though they kind of push back against that. So if you want to learn more about Radiohead, you as the audience, or you as Connor if you've forgotten, I guess it's been a couple years.
I as Connor do not want to learn more.
Oh, that's because you already know it all, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's totally why.
Well, you can go back and listen to the first Radiohead episode for more of that. And it's episode 53 right here at Spin It Podcast. But at this point, at OK Computer time, Radiohead consists of its famous 5-member lineup. There's Thom Yorke on the vocals and as the primary songwriter. The Greenwood brothers, Colin the bassist and Johnny the guitarist. There's Phil Selway, the drummer and the percussionist. Then there's Ed O'Brien, the guitarist. That's the band. And to briefly recap all the context you'd need, to get from Radiohead's founding to OK Computer. To fill in the gaps between the knowledge you needed for Kid A and the knowledge you need for OK Computer, I'll tell you about it now.
Yeah.
Radiohead's first album, Pablo Honey, was the one that featured the eventual hit song Creep. They put it out to very little buzz. Pablo Honey climbed the UK charts to number 22, but but it was a bit of a flop domestically, even though it ended up being kind of a hit abroad, a little bit. They did some touring and they did some reflection, and then their 1995 sophomore album, The Bends, their songwriting really took a turn for the better. Critics and audiences kind of started to take notice of this little band. I really liked The Bends. It was a consideration for this episode. I had a roommate in college that liked The Bends a lot, and he would play it to wake up in the mornings. So for a good 6 months, I woke up to Planet Telex and Just and Bones and all the things. Woke up to Radiohead, which is quite a way to wake up. Johnny Greenwood said that The Bends started appearing in people's best of polls for the end of the year, and that's when it started to feel like we made the right choice about being a band. And he called it a turning point, and he was pretty correct. While Radiohead is touring in support of The Bends, massive tour, they get a commission from the famed non-musician Brian Eno. We talked about Brian Eno and all the work that he did with Devo on our episode about their debut. And Brian Eno comes to Radiohead and says, hey, I want you to make a song for this charity compilation album that we're doing. We want your name on the roster. Get in here. It'll be great. So Radiohead gets in the studio with Nigel Godrich, a producer they had worked with on The Bends, and they make a song called Lucky, a song you may recognize from track 11 on this album.
Oh, that's pretty lucky.
That's pretty lucky, pretty fortuitous. Godrich said those things are the most inspiring, when you do stuff really fast and there's nothing to lose. We left feeling fairly euphoric. So after establishing a bit of rapport work-wise, I was sort of hoping I would be involved with the next album. And the band loved Lucky so much, and the process was so seamless and quick and easy. Well, he was. They brought Godrich on for the rest of the album. And that album, of course, would be OK Computer. And Godrich would be on Team Radiohead for every album since, which is exciting. Radiohead left touring life altogether for a while in 1996 to buckle down and really refine the sound that they wanted for the new record, but it was not smooth sailing. Selway said that for The Bends, the band did an awful lot of soul searching, and they thought to do that again on another album would be excruciatingly boring. No feelings, no mushy-gushy, deep soul-searching stuff. Meanwhile, Thom said he was determined to not do another miserable, morbid, and negative record. Then he tried to write about happier, more positive subject matter. But he said, I'm not able to put them into music yet, those happier, positive thoughts. And he said, I don't want to just force it. So if you can believe it, OK Computer is their attempt to make a happier record.
I don't know that I can.
Right. I know. It's not a very feel-good kind of album, but hey. Lucky for Radiohead, the other thing that also falls into place is that they're so successful with The Bends that the label pretty much gives them a lot of free reign on making their third record. They basically got a £100,000 budget. That's British pounds, not like pounds of American money. I don't know why you would have thought that, but if you did, think again. They give them £100,000 and they say, go nuts. So Radiohead gets to record this album themselves. Friends and advisors kind of told them to stay the course from their last album. They said, make The Bends Part 2 and you'll sell 6 or 7 million copies. And the band decided, and Ed O'Brien elegantly put it, they said they kicked against that and did the opposite. Nobody could tell Radiohead what to do. They spend that £100,000 budget on new and niche recording equipment to significantly broaden their sound from the kind of rock fuzz of the Bends. Then they get to writing and recording OK Computer early in 1996. One of their goals was to be isolated and alone for the album, so they set up in a shed-turned-recording studio in rural Oxfordshire. And once more, it was just a process of learning and trying and retrying and just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Selway said, we're jumping from song to song, and when we started to run out of ideas, we'd move on to a new song. The stupid thing was that we were nearly finished when we'd move on because so much work had gone into them. So they kept just getting close and throwing it in the bin. Getting close, binning it. Close, binning it. It wasn't right, and it was frustrating. So they took a break from their break, and they hit the road again, touring with Alanis Morissette in the US for a little while, which is a wild combo. Now that you've listened to both of them, what do you think about the Alanis Morissette Radiohead bill?
I could see it kind of working, actually.
You think?
I think.
Maybe.
I kind of like it. I like the idea.
I can see a little bit of potential overlap in their audiences.
I think it's a good way to get exposed to new audiences.
That's true. Yeah, they're similar enough that I think people would like the other artist.
Yeah, people aren't going to be like, oh, I'm not going to go because I don't want to hear Radiohead, if they're an Alanis Morissette fan, and vice versa. And they might just find out they like them.
That's true. Isn't it ironic?
More ironic than the song.
But actually, I don't know. I'm sure there's some overlap in their fan base, but it didn't feel like it for the band. Johnny Greenwood said that he remembered playing interminable Hammond organ solos to an audience full of quietly despairing teenage girls. That just made me laugh. I can picture it. You know, just a dead audience, dead room, and they're just out here trying to do My Iron Lung, and these kids are like, huh? Oh, it's funny. But at this time, right around this 1996 re-entry into touring, they got another commission. The director of Romeo and Juliet, the one starring Leonardo DiCaprio, the one with guns, where Romeo and Juliet have guns, he wanted the band to write a song for the end of the movie.
The best version?
The best version? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. But just the concept of them with guns as an American, gotta love it.
Yeah, sure, Romeo and Juliet, but they have guns. Yeah, I've only seen some stage versions and then like the Zeffirelli one and the Romeo and Juliet, of course.
Of course, Romeo and Juliet with an Elton John song, I think, right?
Elton John did all the music for that movie. He's like an executive producer.
Yeah.
It's almost like Elton John had the idea to make Romeo and Juliet.
Wouldn't surprise me.
No. But long before that, before Elton John does the music, Radiohead does the music. So the director commissions them. They get an advance cut of the last scenes of the movie. And they created, from that, exit music for a film, which makes up the movie's end credits, which, I mean, just makes sense. And they loved it. They loved the movie, they loved the song, but they especially loved making this work. Thom Yorke said, "It was the first performance we'd ever recorded where every note of it made my head spin. Something I was proud of. Something I could turn up really, really loud and not wince at any moment." And if you know Thom Yorke, you know how hard it is for him to turn it up and not wince at any moment. He's a very self-critical guy.
It's a very big wincer.
Yeah, man. Windsor is his middle name. It's not really. That's fake news. But either way, making exit music really got the band excited and back on track to wrap up OK Computer as an album. Their next bout of recording, and the most important one for this record, took them to a mansion in Bath that belonged to actress Jane Seymour, and that was what they needed. This was like a playground for them. They would move to different rooms for different sounds. They'd record on staircases. They'd set up in the ballroom at 3 a.m. Like, they would just take full advantage of the space that they were recording in. All the fun stuff you'd expect a bunch of guys to do if you gave them a huge budget and a mansion to make the album. And they did something like 80% of the recording for OK Computer totally live.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild. Thom said that, you know, if he did more than one take for his vocals, he would start to think about it and it would sound really lame. Again, self-deprecating kind of guy, but so cool. Johnny said that recording in this mansion was less like a laboratory experiment, which is what being in a studio usually is like, and it's more about a group of people making their first record together. So hopefully for me, right, on OK Computer, I'm hoping that you can hear the difference in this band operating together as a unit. Like, not in the lab of Kid A with tape loops and samples and, you know, getting all digital with it. But then, like, just experimenting in the space that they're given, testing the experimental waters, but firing on all creative cylinders. And, of course, a live recording mindset gives OK Computer a very, very different feel than the overdub-heavy, chopped-up Kid A. So I'm hopeful. But then also, I found a quote that makes me a little less hopeful and a little more wary, because Thom Yorke said that the album creates an atmosphere that is perhaps a bit shocking when you first hear it, but only as shocking as the atmosphere on the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. So that may be a bad omen for Redemption. I don't know. Pet Sounds was also not your favorite, but it did score 3 times as high as Kid A, so But they were having so much fun recording that they didn't even really want to stop. Ed O'Brien said the biggest pressure was actually completing the recording. We weren't given any deadlines, and we had complete freedom to do what we wanted, and we were delaying it because we were a bit frightened of actually finishing stuff. But of course they did eventually finish. The orchestral strings were added in a few sessions at Abbey Road Studios in early 1997, and by March the record was done. It came out on May 21st, 1997, and boy, what a record. They called it OK Computer as a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The book and the movie you probably already know about. But Radiohead wasn't looking at the book and the movie. They listened to the radio play from 1978.
Oh.
Yeah, they would listen to it while they were on tour, like in the vans and stuff. And at one point, a character in the story says, "OK Computer, I want full manual control now." And I think that's so cool. Like, that's such a good thematic linchpin for what this album kind of is. Wanting manual control over things that are kind of outside of you. It's a very scrambly type of feeling. Do you know Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I sure did. Haven't read the book or whatever, but the movie.
I don't know even what it's about, except there's some space elements and the number 42.
That's all you need to know.
Well, that doesn't make me want to watch the movie a lot. But either way, they came up with this phrase, OK Computer. Johnny said the phrase started attaching itself and creating all these weird resonances with what we were trying to do. And Thom said that OK Computer refers to embracing the future. It refers to being terrified of the future, of our future, of everyone else's. He said it's to do with standing in a room where all these appliances are going off and all these machines and computers and so on, and the sound it makes. He called it a resigned, terrified phrase. So more like an OK Computer, you win. Instead of I want full manual control, it's like I'm relinquishing any semblance of manual control to the chaos of this. So that's fun. Rejected titles for the record include Ones and Zeros, thematically similar, and Your Home May Be at Risk If You Do Not Keep Up Payments, thematically completely unrelated, and also super clunky. OK Computer's such a good catchy title, and Your Home May Be at Risk If You Do Not Keep Up Payments is not.
No, it's not.
Their promo for OK Computer was wild, too. They ran ads with some of the lyrics to Fitter Happier. They made floppy disks. They put out a radio that was shaped like a computer. And they sent cassette players to people in the music industry that had the album permanently glued inside them.
That's wild.
Yeah, kind of a single-use cassette player. They thought about making music videos for all 12 tracks, but instead just opted for 3 when they started to realize they were going way over budget. And that makes more sense anyway. Who's going to watch 12 Radiohead music videos?
You would.
I'm a big Radiohead fan, I think, and I wouldn't watch 12 Radiohead music videos.
I think you would just because of the novelty of it.
I might. If that was what they had done, I would do it for this episode, for the research, you know?
Seems like it would have been worth it then. They should have known.
Yeah, perhaps. Also, OK Computer is the record that got Radiohead one of the first banned websites in internet history. I'm not talking like banned like BANNED, just banned like a website belonging to a musical group.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I realize it's unclear to say out loud.
And it really could have went either way.
It could have. Yeah. Capitol Records, really went to bat advertising and pushing this album. Their president said, our job is just to take them as a left-of-center band and bring the center to them. That's our focus, and we won't let up until they're the biggest band in the world.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. I think it acknowledges that they're a little off the wall, but that's not going to stop the label from trying.
Yeah.
And it was well received, of course. A lot of critics considered OK Computer to be sort of a concept album or a song cycle, but there's like no overarching narrative, right? So it kind of is debatable whether it's in that category or not, because even though there's not one, there are very strong thematic and sonic ties from track to track that give this album a very distinct atmosphere. The band does push back against the concept album designation, but also they still say they designed for the record to be listened to as a whole, rather than piecemeal track by track. So it's somewhere halfway between, in the liminal space between concept album and normal non-concept album. The record debuted at number 1 in the United Kingdom and number 21 in the US. It ended up being the 8th best-selling record in the UK that year. By February of 98, OK Computer would sell more than 2 million copies worldwide. By 2001, it would be north of 4.5 million. It earned 2 Grammy nominations for Album of the Year and Best Alternative Music Album, which it did win. And it was shortlisted for a Mercury Prize for the Best British or Irish Album of the Year. And all the success, really blew this tiny little band's mind. Critics were calling it so artistic and sonically revolutionary. And the band was like, huh? That's not what we had in mind at all. That's not what we're doing. What do you mean sonically revolutionary?
We don't want to be revolutionary.
We're just making an album. Right. Thom said, we write pop songs. There was no intention of it being art. It's a reflection of all the disparate things we were listening to when we recorded it. But, he said, what really blew my head off was the fact that people got all the things, all the textures and the sounds and the atmospheres that we were trying to create. So it's like he made it and expected people not to get it. Like he was surprised when they got it. I don't know. That's just a very interesting cognitive dissonance. But OK Computer has really held up over time. Critical opinion has only become more laudatory. Several different reissues and re-releases have really kept OK Computer in the public consciousness. Today it's certified 2 times platinum in the US and 5 times platinum in the UK. And honestly, I just think if you ask people to name a Radiohead album, this is the one they're going to name. If you ask them to name a song, they're going to say Creep. Everybody's going to say Creep. It's fine. But if you ask them to name an album, and they can, OK Computer's probably the one they'll name.
Or they'll just say the one with Creep on it.
The one with Creep on it. Yeah.
Which is what I would have done.
You would have just said the one with Creep on it?
Yeah, that's all I really knew of Radiohead.
Well, that's fair. But that's not naming an album.
No, but if you were like, name one, that would have been the answer I gave you. It's the only answer I had.
Touche. Well, after the wild success of OK Computer, the band of course kicked back against it and pivoted to Kid A and evolved their sound once again. Episode 53. For all that story, we covered it a long time ago.
In a galaxy not that far away.
Not that far away, in a galaxy right here.
The galaxy's surprisingly close.
Right. Radiohead would go on to release 5 proper albums after Kid A, most of which I know and love. Their most recent, as a group, was A Moon-Shaped Pool in 2016, but they've kind of branched off into solo projects, and mostly they've been on a Radiohead hiatus since then. Thom and Johnny, they broke off into a side band called The Smile, who's had some pretty solid success. Other members are writing books, they're making solo albums, just living it up. But there's definitely more Radiohead to come someday in terms of recorded music. But, I mean, just in general, they're still going strong. According to Selway, the band still very much exists. And in fact, Radiohead just, a week ago when we're recording this, very recently, announced a UK tour. They're coming back together and going on tour.
Oh.
I'm sad it's across the pond, but it's exciting.
You could go across the pond.
Do you think we should do a road trip, but in the air? An air trip?
Dude, spin an air trip.
Spin it in the air. Well, as for their awards and accolades, in total, Radiohead has a whopping 42 major awards on 93 nominations, including 2 AMFT awards, 3 nominations for AIM Independent Music Awards, 17 nominations for Brit Awards. They've got 6 Grammys on 20 nominations. They've got 4 Ivor Novello Awards, 2 Libera Awards. They were shortlisted for 5 Mercury Prizes, which makes Radiohead the most nominated act in Mercury Prize history. They've also got some MTV awards, 9 NME awards, 4 Q awards on 11 nominations, and plenty more. And they were nominated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2019, just like 2.5 or 3 short years before their episode of Spin It came out. So there you go. That's OK Computer. And how it stacks up to Kid A. I think it has a way more interesting backstory as well. I think in terms of redemption, I think OK Computer is a really compelling backstory from this band that's just learning how to experiment and make it big. But that's just me. Now it's time to see if I can redeem myself in Factor Spin against the Mixtaper.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
It is going to be tough. Last time I went 1 for 4. I missed 3 of them. Let's get the Mixtaper on out here. Let's see if Thom Yorke's got other pets that have had bad holidays. I sure hope not, if anything goes the way of the fish.
Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper.
Hello, Mixtaper. Welcome back to the Year of Redemption. How you feeling?
A little worried. I like it when we redeem artists that you beat me in Factor Spin because it's a chance for me to take the lead with that artist. But this one I already had the lead and now you could take it back.
That's true.
You shut me out here.
If I shut you out here, that'd be remarkable.
You take the lead.
I don't know. Radiohead's had some of the strangest facts that we've seen. Well, kind of. A lot of them are spins. But I'm just thinking about, like, Thom Yorke's toenails getting sold.
Last time we had his pet goldfish had a bad Christmas.
Iconic fact. Yeah.
Iconic fact.
We had Philip and Johnny appearing in Harry Potter.
Wizards.
You said and lied about Thom Yorke being a boxer.
Yep.
And then this was an instance where the infamous plane hat returned. Probably the first time it came back, I think.
And then the plane hat, yes. Probably. That was a weird one, too, because I said that the row he was supposed to be in, each seat in the row had a hat, and that somebody had bought 3 tickets for 1 hat each.
Bizarre, yeah.
This week, I got a whole new list of 4 facts. 4 regular facts, no fast-fired facts this week.
Thank goodness.
Just 4 normal, weird, supposedly true facts.
Okay, let me have them. I'm ready to redeem.
The band once stopped a show to help a sleepy fan.
A sleepy fan? Help the sleepy fan what? Stay awake or fall asleep?
Yeah, stay awake.
Well, I would think keeping the show going would help the sleepy fan stay awake, right? Were they playing boring songs?
Apparently not. The fan was struggling.
Why? Did they see this person in the audience, like in the pit somewhere? Early front rows?
Yeah, in the front row. They were yawning, struggling to keep their eyes open. So Thom Yorke had the band stop. And he ran off stage and produced a hot espresso for the fan.
He went and got an espresso?
Yeah, I assume they had like a coffee maker backstage.
Like in the Rider, yeah, sure. Something close. Wow, that's wild. Did the fan, drink it and wake up?
I assume they drank it. They were probably embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing a mask. Nobody knows who I am.
That's true. If I got called out for snoozing at a band, if you're in the front row, you presumably really like Radiohead. That's not really a cheap ticket. Well, it depends on when this was.
This was during the OK Computer era.
Oh, okay.
Because Tom Yorke quipped, "We can't have you dozing off during Paranoid Android, mate." And then gave him the espresso and then got back up on stage and resumed the song.
I mean, it is a 6.5-minute song. It's not a sleepy one per se.
Fair enough. Yeah, but maybe a couple minutes in, I'm getting a little bored. Maybe it was more of a boredom yawn.
Oh, I hope not. I mean, Thom Yorke does have kind of a soft voice that could lull you to sleep.
Lulling him to sleep.
Yeah, a lulled fan. I think this is a spin.
Thinks it's a spin.
You're going to stop the whole show for one yawning guy? I mean, it must have really bugged him. That's the only reason I would do it, is if it was like going to frustrate me by seeing this guy dozing off in the front row every time. And then if I were any other fan, I'd be so afraid to feel sleepy. What if I got called out next?
Maybe that was the point. It was to make an example out of him.
The poor fan. A deterrent. Who was talking about this? Was this Radiohead explaining it, or was this the espresso fan going, yeah, one time Thom Yorke gave me stuff, gave me a shot?
Yeah, no, this was Thom Yorke in an interview. A sit down with Thom Yorke of Radiohead.
I think I'm going to say spin. Lock that sucker in.
Going with spin. Locking it in. Throwing away the key.
Well, I might need the key to lock in the other three facts, but I'm pretty sure this one's a spin.
Yeah, oh wait, you're right, that's my only key.
Uh-oh. I guess I won't be able to lock in the rest.
I'll try to find it real fast. That is a spin!
Hey! Looks like I was correct. Fun idea, though. I can't imagine even a much smaller show doing that.
Yeah.
Because even if that one fan liked it and was happy, there's like thousands of other people that are going to be like, what?
I don't know. I think it's a good opportunity for some, if it's done lightheartedly, for some lighthearted audience interaction. Maybe not right in the middle of a song.
Yeah, it was a bit of an iffy time. Is this a true fact about anyone? Or did you just make it up with this break in the middle of the song?
Yeah, no, I just made it up.
Oh, very nice. That was a fun one.
Thought it was true about somebody? Thought I was trying to give you a true fact about somebody?
But yeah, I don't know. If you said it was weird that it was in the middle of the song, it was like, well, you made it up that way.
Yeah, that was just me self-reflecting that maybe I should have said it was at the end of the song before Paranoid Android start.
Oh, yeah.
Because then the made-up quote would have still worked.
Like you're reviewing tape. You're watching film at the end of the game. Just figure out where you can improve.
Yeah. Just trying to improve your factor spin experience.
Thank you. I appreciate your dedication to your craft.
Up next, Thom Yorke did a press interview with a sock puppet.
Is he the sock puppet or is he talking to the sock puppet?
He is the sock puppet.
Wild. And is he sitting there visibly with a sock on his hand, or is he like out of the frame or off screen?
No, he's just sitting down with a journalist and then produces a googly-eyed sock puppet and puts it on his hand.
And doesn't like do ventriloquism with it, right? He just talks with his puppet?
Nope, he just declares that Mr. Sock will be answering all the questions.
Does he do like a voice and a character, or just what? Mr. Sock?
Yeah, he does like a squeaky voice.
Why would he do that?
Because he was annoyed with all the press interviews.
Oh, that's true. That, does make sense. Okay. Wise answer. One of the only acceptable answers.
He said they wouldn't stop asking the same mundane, boring questions and wanted to give them something to talk about.
We've had a couple people do stuff like this. Whether they recorded the answers to all their same dumb, boring questions and sent them to reporters in advance, or like St. Vincent did the neon pink interview cube where they had to crawl into a giant simulated womb to talk to her. We've had some interesting techniques to mix up interviews. Did they ask the sock puppet any special questions? Like, if I were an interviewer, oh boy, I'd have some questions for Mr. Sock.
Yeah, that's why you would make a good interviewer. I don't know. I don't have any information on that.
Well, what happened then? Did they publish or air the interview? I mean, I can see that going either way. If you're blindsided by that, maybe you just don't even put it out.
Yeah, I don't know. This was just in a list of 50 facts you didn't know about Thom Yorke's, Radiohead's Thom Yorke, so.
Mr. Sock. This was just a one-time spiteful thing.
It just says he once did this, so that implies one time, right?
Yeah, it does. I just wish I knew how he answered the questions. Like, did he give answers about Thom Yorke or about Mr. Sock? Like, oh, how have you been feeling on this last tour? And the sock goes.
Yeah, no. Sorry. I thought I explained that. Mr. Sock answered all the questions as if it was like his spokesperson or his manager or whatever,
Okay, like, Tom's been loving the tour. He's just a middleman.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like, oh, interview Mr. Sock instead of me. It was ask your questions to Mr. Sock because I can't be bothered to answer your boring questions.
An advanced version of talk to the hand.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I want this to be a fact. I feel like it could be a fact.
Well, lucky for you, I found the key. So if you'd like to lock that in, you can.
Ah, drat. I was hoping I'd be able to not lock it in and then maybe change it a little bit later. But if you found the key, I feel obligated to lock it in. So I guess I'll say locked in on fact. I just want it to be true.
This is a spin.
Yeah, of course it is. I know. I knew it was.
But you wanted it to be true.
Yeah,
And you let yourself believe in that world.
I did. It was a magical world. He would never do that.
Yeah, that was what I was afraid of.
I mean, the man doesn't even smile. I've never seen Thom Yorke's teeth.
That's why I really tried to play up that he was annoyed, you know? Not that he was doing it for fun, but because he was annoyed.
That was smart. Very wise decision.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to do the rest of this factor spin as Mr. Sock.
Up next, the band once bullied a child.
Well, I'm sure James is going to love this. This is Mr. Sock, by the way.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You didn't do the squeaky voice, so I didn't know.
Oh, you're right. Mr. Sock has a squeaky voice. Never mind. I'm not going to be Mr. Sock. I think I'm going to come out and say it right now. Whether this fact is true or not, I'm going to say bullying a child is wrong.
Wow, can we quote you on that?
I think you can. Yeah, I'm going to be brave and take a stand. Well, actually, you quote Mr. Sock. He'll be my buffer. Yeah, don't bully children. Why did Radiohead decide to bully a child? Surely they've got enough lunch money.
He was crying.
Uh-oh. Let me guess. Front row, yawning, crying. Gotta get him some espresso. That probably wasn't it.
No, it was not. I don't know if they really knew why he was crying. They just saw him crying and said that he was the most uncool kid they'd ever met and that he was a little crybaby.
Uncool. How old was this kid?
I don't know, middle school? Young.
Oh, the age where uncool would be a sick burn.
Yeah, it was a young fan named Scott who was in line to meet the band, I guess.
So like a meet and greet. Oh, no.
Or, like, yeah, I don't know. That was how the interaction happened, was that Radiohead members were supposed to meet poor young Scott, and he wouldn't stop crying. And they were like, what a little crybaby. The most uncool kid we've ever met. And I was like, dang.
Or was he just crying because he was so excited to meet them?
I don't know.
That's pretty uncool. That's wild.
Yeah, I think that they just judged a kid by his cry.
Well,
Didn't ask why.
I mean, that's a reasonable way to judge a kid. Sometimes. A crying middle schooler. And why did they say he was weird? When uncool? When did this uncool comment come up?
It's not cool to cry. Very toxic male of them.
I mean, okay. I think Radiohead would be fine at being in touch with their feelings. Look at some of the music they're making.
I mean, you would think so, but not if you're a young fan named Scott.
Oh, man. Young fan named Scott, if you're listening, and you're now like an older fan named Scott, we understand.
We'd let you cry. We'd let you cry if you met us.
Just let it out.
You'd probably want to. And that goes for not just young fans named Scott. Any fan of the Spinning Podcast can cry.
Can cry.
And you can quote Mr. Sock on that.
That's right. Yeah, fact. I think this is a fact.
Going with true fact.
I'm sure kids would be excited to see Radiohead. To meet them, that's a big moment in a young middle schooler's life. And if he's nervous, he's probably all out of sorts and blubbering and crying. And I mean, they certainly didn't call him uncool to his face. I can imagine the story coming up in some way and them not naming him. But I guess they did because, you know, it's a young fan named Scott. But still, I don't think bullied a child. That's shock value on the title, meant to throw me off. I think this is a fact.
You locking that in with the one and only key?
Yep.
One key, all the locks.
Yeah.
Now that you've locked that in, would you like to know a detail I left out?
Oh, no. Yeah, I want to know a detail you left out.
The kid was crying because he was fed a chili that had his own parents in it.
No, this is from South Park.
Why'd
you do this?
South
Why'd
Park?
you do this? Why would you do this?
Because I know you're a fan of South Park.
Well, I asked why the kid was crying.
And I said they didn't know because in the episode they don't know.
You didn't tell me the young fan was Scott Tenorman.
I said his name was a young fan named Scott.
That sucks. You did. Oh, that's awful. I haven't seen that episode of South Park in years. I mean, it's been 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Okay, so for the people listening who maybe aren't familiar with this episode, there's an infamous episode of South Park that came out in 2002, early 2000s episode. It was early South Park, called Scott Tenorman Must Die. And at the climax of it, Radiohead appears as animated versions of themselves to meet Scott, and Scott is bawling his eyes out because he was just fed a bowl of chili that had his own parents like ground up in it by Cartman, and that's what this whole fact was based off of.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
And yeah, it's really awful. And what they say to the kid when he's crying is that they go, "What a little crybaby, the most uncool kid we've ever met."
Man.
And then walk away in disgust. So I was hoping I'd get you on that because I know you're a huge South Park fan.
Well, hold on now, though. That is a fact, right?
No. Remember, it's not the title. It's the way I present it that you're presenting true or false on. And I presented it as they made a real fan named Scott cry.
They made a fake fan named Scott fake cry. And they didn't do it. You're right. They didn't make him cry. But your fact was that they bullied him, and they kind of did.
Yeah. There was no real fan, no real band.
All right. I guess I got to go rewatch.
Yeah. It was a bit of a dastardly play, but that's what you get for bringing me a repeat artist. Get a little dastardly in round 2.
A little sneaky. Yeah, I'm definitely not shutting you out. I've already missed 2. So you're either winning again or we're tying this time.
Well, even if we tie this time, I keep the lead for the band. So I'm good now, no matter what happens. Ties for the episode and, at worst, still in the lead for the band.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, not for me, but for you, sure.
Well,
that's so funny. As soon as I mentioned the chili, you're like, no!
Yeah, I totally forgot Radiohead was even in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think I watched the episode before I ever listened to Radiohead.
Our final ramp. What could top parents in a bowl of chili and bullying kids?
Awful. I don't know, man. That's a rough... A lot could top that.
Radiohead has ghost detecting equipment.
No. What is this? We found him.
It's your final ramp.
We found Ryan.
You did. You found Ryan.
Okay. I already shredded the whole spiel. I got to dig it up again. Way back. On episode 42, there was a fact about Gabrielle Applin owning ghost detecting equipment. And we went through a saga, just years and years, episodes and episodes and episodes. I think more than a dozen times. The fact about a band owning ghost detecting equipment to find Ryan the Ghost came up. I finally found Ryan the Ghost on our episode about Lady Gaga very recently. And now you're telling me that Radiohead also has ghost detecting equipment and has had ghost detecting equipment this whole time?
Yeah. Listen, I wasn't sure when we announced the Year of Redemption and you started putting together the list and I saw that Radiohead was going to be on it because I had since learned after the episode about this fact. And I was like, this will be awesome. I'll be able to reuse it here, even if it doesn't come up before then, because I wasn't sure when you were going to slot Lady Gaga in. But I was going to be able to hit you with this one, either before or after. I was like, either way, it works out, if it's true.
Well, what is this? I mean, this isn't Ryan.
No, it's not Ryan.
What ghost detecting equipment does Radiohead have?
Ghost detecting equipment is a bit of a loose term here. They just had a lot of different ways to keep up with the happenings of their 3 ghosts.
3 ghosts?
Mm-hmm.
What are their 3 ghosts?
All in the recording studio for OK Computer.
Oh, in the mansion?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do you think this mansion was haunted?
They sure thought so.
That's fun. Who is haunting the mansion? What ghosts did they encounter? And how do they keep track of them?
There is a mysterious lady in blue.
Ooh.
Who not only the band saw, but also caused the gardeners to leave the property on the same day that Thom Yorke saw her. So the gardeners saw it too, apparently, and refused to come back.
They just ran?
Mm-hmm. Another alleged ghost is that of an informer who could not forgive himself for revealing the whereabouts of local monks who were murdered.
Oh, gosh.
And then there's also ghost dogs that bark and brush up against you as you pass by.
Oh, no, not more ghost dogs. So how do they keep track of them? I mean, there's the one sighting and the ghost dogs sound like they're recurring. But equipment loosely are they using to find them?
Just a lot of technical glitches, tape machines mysteriously rewinding themselves, lighting in the studio, flickering on and off when nobody was in there. A lot of their equipment was picking up weird paranormal activity while they were trying to record the songs.
Okay. They have equipment that detects ghosts by chance.
Yeah. They were convinced that the ghosts were trying to get a producing credit on the album.
Funny. That's funny. And the ghosts just lived in the house and were gone when they left?
I think the place is still considered haunted. I don't think the ghosts left when the band left. They probably stayed behind.
Oh, true. Yeah. Radiohead's new manager 3 ghosts. This is interesting. I guess I'm going to say this is a fact.
Well, hang on. Don't be using that key yet.
Whoa. Okay.
Don't be using that key yet. We got one more ghost encounter at this mansion. A really crazy one to discuss.
Oh, who'd they meet?
Well, it's just Thom Yorke would see these ghosts in his dreams, and they would talk to him and tell him to do stuff.
Yeah, okay. Like a paranoid android, but he's a human. Paranoid human. Whole different song. Go on. What'd they tell him to do?
Just all sorts of things. Nothing super specific that I have information on, except for once, they didn't like his haircut.
Uh-oh. Did he cut his hair to appease them?
Yeah, he woke up and immediately ran and found a small pair of scissors and began to impulsively hack off his own hair.
Wow. That's weird.
They said they urged him to cut his hair, and so as soon as he woke up, he found a pair of tiny penknife scissors from his pocket tool and began chopping away in front of the mirror. Unfortunately, the ghost had poor styling, and he nicked himself several times, and when he went downstairs, the rest of the band saw him bleeding with a jagged, patchy hairdo.
I don't think that's the ghost having poor styling. I think that's user error and bad execution.
Oh, maybe.
That's bizarre.
Drummer Phil Selway then had to calmly sit Yorke down and shave the rest of his head off. Or the head off?
Whoa.
Rest of his hair off.
Oh my gosh.
Had to calmly sit Yorke down and shave the rest of his hair off.
And Thom Yorke had a bad Christmas.
Had to sit down and shave the rest of his hair off.
That's better.
To try to salvage the impromptu haircut. Now you may do whatever you'd like to do with the key.
Well, see, I was feeling fact about the first 3 ghosts, but this one is, he acted so much in it. There's so much happening. Could very easily be a spin. Why withhold information about the dream ghosts until now?
Well, it wasn't withholding. You just jumped the gun.
I think this is a spin now. I think the haircut ghost is too much.
Whoa.
It's easy to believe the old mansion was haunted, I guess, but yeah. The self-haircut, the dream ghost, the way it was presented was a little suspicious. I think I'll lock in spin.
Locking in spin. Now that you're locked in, would you like to know the detail? No, I'm kidding.
This is from South Park.
These were all from South Park. No. To improve your factor spin experience, can you please tell me what was suspicious about the presentation?
Well, it's just that the haircut ghost was kind of a very significant portion of the fact, and it didn't even get mentioned in with the other 3 ghost encounters.
Well, those were all just describing the ghosts.
Well, I guess, were they the same kind of ghost that showed up in his dreams? The dogs barked and said, "Hey, fix your hair."
Cut your hair. Yeah, I assumed that, because he said all 3 ghosts would talk to him in his sleep, so I guess they were talking dogs.
Whoa.
But yeah, so since you like this in as a spin, I can confirm it is indeed a true fact.
Oh, no. I was worried about that. And I was thinking fact all the way through. I was almost locked in on fact until you added the haircut ghost because I knew you'd be excited to bring it back with the Ryan the Ghost thing. Like, I totally believe that.
Yeah.
That's so unfortunate. But very cool. It's just unbelievable. We have another ghost detecting equipment here. But, of course, it's contained and resolved and not going to linger for another 100 and 200 episodes.
Could you imagine if if we brought another one that lingered for 100 episodes?
I wouldn't put it past you at all.
Oh, that would have been, man, that would have been nuts. I think that would have been considered, bullying at that point.
Probably. Yeah, some kind of psychological warfare.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got for you. That's all she wrote.
Oh, bravo. Yeah, you got me again. I was not redeemed at all. I simply did as well as I did last time, and I feel worse about it.
You just deemed.
I'm deemed as bad. Deemed worse than I was.
Dang.
Because this time I've got like 180 episodes more experience. 170.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to be reasonable here. That's 3 weeks in a row I've bit the dust. Ugh, man, you've really turned it around for this year of redemption.
Yeah, I had to step up my game. You were doing too well in the early part.
So I was. Maybe I'll get my swagger back next week.
Hope not. But until then, yeah.
Goodbye, Mixtaper. And welcome back, notorious Radiohead disliker, Connor.
Notorious Kid A disliker.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Notorious Kid A disliker. I can't be too general. Painting with a broad brush is not doing anyone any favors.
We'll figure out this week if I'm a Radiohead disliker.
You said you liked Creep. I don't know. Well, that doesn't mean anything. It's so not really Radiohead.
So who doesn't like Creep?
Plenty of people. Creep's not my favorite, but I get it.
It's a good song, though.
As usual, it is now time to discuss the album cover of OK Computer. Very different than Kid A.
I don't remember Kid A.
Oh, Kid A's the one with all the mountains and like the painting that they've digitally altered. There's a sunrise behind it. You said they kind of look like volcanoes.
Oh, yep. I do recognize this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, OK Computer's a little different. So, Kid A was that digitally altered photo of paint. OK Computer's artwork is a collage. It was born out of a collaboration with Thom and artist Stanley Donwood, who was supposed to make visual art to represent all the band's songs and recording sessions. And Thom said that having good representative artwork made him feel more confident in his music. I read that they tried to make this artwork just by doing stuff and never hitting undo on the computer.
Oh, wow.
Like whatever they did, they had to commit to it. Even if they didn't like it, then they had to change something about it. The blue and white color scheme of OK Computer was his attempt to make something the color of bleached bone, which is eerie, very human, right? Bone is a very, animal thing, but not computer. And in the end, it ends up feeling really cold and isolating and almost computer-esque in conjunction with the album title. The dissonance there between trying to make bleached bone and coming out with this computer blue. Very interesting. And also the main image on the front is a freeway interchange in Hartford, Connecticut. One that I believe I may have ridden down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's cool. What do you think of the album cover?
What's going on over here in the right?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. It looks like the nose of an airplane almost, and
Yeah.
there's a big blue X.
An X?
I feel like the X is there to cover up some of the stuff they didn't want to undo,
Yeah, they were like, we'll just cover it up with an
slap an X on that. Then there's like Lost Child posters in the top and some eerie, shadowy, blurry figures.
Yeah, but then like under the X / to the left, it kind of looks like, is that like a fence with something in it?
I don't know. There's definitely people running and kind of red arrows there.
The red arrows at first I thought were like crime scene outlines. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on, but it's okay. I don't think it's that memorable.
No, it's a little peculiar. Honestly, I don't even think it's as memorable as Kid A.
Yeah.
But you forgot Kid A, so I don't know if we can really make that comparison. I think it's fine, but mostly I think that because I associate it with this album. I think that's a reverse causality. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm excited to get all your thoughts on these tracks. You were holding back on any opinions in the first half, but now you can really let them have it.
And have it they shall.
Oh, yeah. Again, I don't think this album's going to do worse than Kid A in your eyes. I'm hopeful. But the track record for Redemption has not been great, so I'm open to all opinions and possibilities here. But first up is Airbag. Airbag was built on a drum track sampled by Selway. It does all this stuff like the bass cuts in and out of Airbag, and it's kind of a song about the horrors of transportation anxiety a little bit. The concept was inspired by an article that Thom read called An Airbag Saved My Life, and also by the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So a wide range.
Oh.
Yeah, a wide range of sources on Airbag, but in the end, Thom said it's about the idea that whenever you go out on the road, you could be killed. And he said it's about how transit, like buses and trains and stuff, how it only creates the illusion of safety. And also, not for nothing, it's inspired by an accident that Thom was in where an airbag probably did save his own life. Like years and years before the album, but still very impactful. Like that kind of thing sticks with you.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, you have transit anxiety now too, don't you?
Actually, I don't. I've never really understood the concept of transit anxiety. I mean, I understand the concept of it, like what it is. I just never understood.
Like why people are afraid to drive and stuff?
Yeah.
Because you can get into car accidents. It's scary out there.
Yeah. I mean, I could drop dead right now of a heart attack recording this episode.
I'd rather you didn't, but yeah, you could.
I could be in my fridge, and when I'm coming out of it, I could accidentally bang my head and bust my head open and bleed to death.
Why don't you be in your fridge?
I mean, I could die. A meteor could smash into my apartment right now and kill me. There's a million ways to die at any given second. So what's different about driving than any of the others? I know that's probably insensitive of me, but
Think about all the people that got crushed by meteors out there.
yeah, I don't know. It's one of those phobias that's never really made sense to me. Like there's a lot of phobias that do make sense to me, but that's not one of them.
Well, Thom said, I was really frightened of cars back then, but Airbag was almost the opposite of that. His take on it was that if you get into a crash or a potentially disastrous situation and walk away, you feel 1,000 times more alive, regardless of what that is. It's more about that. He also said, we talked about his lyric writing a lot on Kid A and how the first track of Kid A is everything in its right place. there are two colors in my head, and it's just repetitive words out of a hat sort of thing. Airbag, he said, I was sort of experimenting with the way that Michael Stipe wrote lyrics. Michael Stipe of REM, who we talked about in like the 70s. He said he was experimenting with the Michael Stipe way, where you've got this thing of semi-nonsense, but when you add them together, it has the cumulative expression of something. We talked about that on the REM episode too, how his lyrics are just kind of gibberish chained together. Airbag is Thom working his way from the Benz style lyrics and Creep style lyrics towards the Kid A style lyrics of Sucking on Lemons.
About to say, this song does give me a little bit of Creep vibes in the way that he sings it.
Yeah, I Am Born Again really feels creepish.
But not in a good way.
What?
No, in like I don't know, Creep does it better. It doesn't really fit. I really like the instrumentals on this, but the vocals just didn't do it for me.
Oh, are you going to ding the whole band because of Thom's vocals? I mean, he does have a very delicate voice.
That's like a whole quarter of your score. What do you mean?
It's important. It's important. I'll give you that. But I think that's one of Radiohead's more intriguing qualities is the way that Thom sings everything.
Yeah, intriguing doesn't equal good.
Well, no, I guess not. He just kind of turns everything that he sings into this anxious heartache of a song. I don't think he could sing anything lightly. There's nothing Thom Yorke could sing that I'd be like, oh, he's just joking around.
Yeah, and I'm not even asking for something like that. I'm just, on Creep it works, and that's why it's such a popular song. Not on every song that they come up with does that style work, and, you know, just a little variation maybe would help.
Yeah, well, that's reasonable.
Kind of a one-trick pony.
Well, Thom Yorke does it for a lot of tricks. I think there's some good lyrics in here. It's nice that he's telling a real story, but...
Yeah, the lyrics are decent. Better than Sucking on Lemon weirdness, lyrically.
Big lemon suckers. Yeah.
Yeah. Lyrics I didn't really have much of a problem with. They're just the vocals.
Vocals, yeah. But the production is cool and stuff.
It is, and I like the instrumental breaks. I like the crescendoing that they do. It's an intriguing song with poor vocals, in my opinion.
It's more song-shaped than a lot of Kid A, too. A lot less choppy.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I saw a review from journalist Tim Footman, and he said that Airbag represents the record's key paradox. He said the musicians and producer are delighting in the sonic possibilities of modern technology. The singer, meanwhile, is railing against its social, moral, and psychological impact. There's a contradiction mirrored in the culture clash of the music, with the real guitars negotiating an uneasy standoff with the hacked-up, processed drums. I thought that was a really interesting take.
That is an interesting take. And I don't think I'm in the minority when I say that this Airbag doesn't quite scratch the right itch, because it's in the bottom half of Spotify plays on this album compared to a lot of the others. That
Yeah.
It doesn't even break 100 million.
It's only got 88.6 million streams. It's really struggling.
Yeah. I mean, compared to even like track 2.
Track 2. I mean, that's a not fair comparison, because Paranoid Android, that was the record's lead single. That's one of the most popular Radiohead songs of all time.
Yeah, I'm just saying, why not compare them?
It's reasonable. It's reasonable to compare them.
Where's the all hits mentality?
Not here. You can leave that with Def Leppard, and you saw how it went for them. Paranoid Android, though, I mean, if Airbag wasn't an all hit, Paranoid Android kind of was. It was number 3 on the UK singles chart, which was Radiohead's highest charting song to that point. And man, at 6.5 minutes, it is a doozy. It's like 4 different sections. It's almost like a suite of songs all tied together.
Yeah.
The original version that they made was 14 minutes long, and they cut it more than in half to get it onto this album. And it's a cool song.
Yeah, it's like their version of like Bohemian Rhapsody or Italian Nights, you know, like just one of those songs that's just like got several distinct parts that all that shouldn't work together but somehow do.
Yes. They were actually they cite Bohemian Rhapsody as a big inspiration for this.
See?
Mm-hmm. And the Beatles' Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Oh, yep.
Colin Greenwood said that nobody does a 6.5 minute song with all these changes. It's ridiculous. He's not wrong. It's rare, but not unheard of. It's like scenes from an Italian restaurant would do these kinds of things. And
yeah, see, that's what I meant when I said what I said earlier.
You said Italian Nights?
I did.
Which is what you always call it wrong.
It is.
I didn't even clock it. I thought you were talking about some other song that I didn't.
The problem is I did, and I was like, but I can't fess up to it because he didn't catch it. But then you brought it up.
That's funny. Oh, man. Well, the band actually deliberately chose such a weird song to be the lead single because they said they wanted to prepare their fans for what to expect for the next record. They're like, look, we're changing. This isn't going to be Pablo Honey anymore. We're straight up diving into it on Paranoid Android. I mean, some people have gone so far as to call it their magnum opus. Critics have called it a breathtaking high point and a sweeping multi-tiered centerpiece. It's expansive, it's gorgeous, and it's track 2. I mean, if the album hits its high point at track 2, that's a little concerning, but I don't think it does.
Nah, no. Why is it concerning? Not necessarily. Think of like a roller coaster. What's the first thing you do on a roller coaster?
Oh, you go off the biggest drop. That's true, and the momentum carries you forward.
Well, the first thing you do is you chug, chug, chug up to the high point.
That's true.
And then, you drop, and that momentum takes you around all the loop-de-loops.
That's a great point. Did not even consider that.
That's what I'm here for. The things you didn't consider.
Often, yes.
Sometimes that's insightful analogies to roller coasters, and sometimes it's frolicking in a field.
Sometimes it's Italian nights. Paranoid Android also is Rolling Stone's 256th greatest song of all time.
Oh, wow.
A feat that no other song can boast.
True.
255 still have other bragging rights, but still.
I mean, I feel like any song on the list has bragging rights. Is what level of brag?
Yeah. Paranoid Android was written about an experience that Thom had in a Los Angeles bar. Lots of strangers, lots of cocaine. It's just, he experienced a lot, people watching that night. The title Paranoid Android comes from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, much like all the other themes on OK Computer. Marvin, the paranoid android, is a character from the show, movie, radio play. Is he in the movie? Does Marvin, the paranoid android, make it into the movie?
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Oh.
I don't even remember much about it.
Okay.
I know, like, a lot of people, it's like a cult classic for it, but I watched it once because it was like, oh, you got to see this, and then haven't seen it ever since.
And then you saw it. Yeah. Thom Yorke said that the title was like a joke, almost. He said it was like, oh, I'm so depressed, and I just thought, that's great. That's how people would like me to be. And he said the rest of the song isn't personal at all. So that's interesting. So much paranoia in the early stages of this album. Whether you're afraid of driving or paranoid about the people around you and worrying about fitting in a place where you just feel like a robot version of yourself. What section of Paranoid Android was your favorite?
Oh, I should have known you were going to ask that. That was a predictable question from you, and I'm not prepared. This is probably a... maybe it's not a controversial take, but I'm going to go with the Rain Down section.
Oh, that's an interesting choice.
Okay, so it is an interesting choice.
Well, for me, I don't know. Yeah.
It's the choice I'm taking, though.
I like that because it is very cinematic in its presentation.
Yeah.
It's like after the song has really hit all of its highest, most intense points.
Yeah, well, and they do a lot of vocal layering in this section.
Yeah.
Where, like, you got the Come On, Rain Down on Me layered over top of the dust and the screaming, but, like, layered over in a way that's, like, almost equal in volume, so they're hard to distinguish from one another.
Yes.
The lines overlap one another instead of being in series. I just quite like the execution of it.
Yeah, I do too.
And like you said, it's after a lot of the other sections have happened, and so it's able to... It wouldn't work if it was in a different order, I guess, is what I want to say.
Yeah, well, the rest of the song kind of has the chance to build the emotions up to a fever pitch, and then that moment of all the layered vocals and stuff is just kind of being suspended in that state. That's not bad. My favorite section is when we kind of drop the acoustic guitar and get into the rockier section at like 250.
Sure.
That's good stuff. There's some cool like time signature changes in that guitar solo too that are so impressive to like even conceptualize them and be like, yes, here we're gonna go 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. Like, how do you even think about that?
I mean, maybe that's more impressive for somebody who can't read sheet music, but
Okay, all right, take it easy. So that's Paranoid Android. That's one of the biggies, for sure. It's one of the most popular Radiohead songs, but also there's a lot on this album that kind of dwarfs it, which we'll get to in a minute.
there's a couple.
But then we get Subterranean, Homesick, Alien. Kind of a fun song title.
Salmon's feeling homesick.
Yes, you, Salmon the Alien. That's wild. The title, Subterranean Homesick Alien, is a reference to Bob Dylan's 1965 track, Subterranean Homesick Blues.
So they just said, what if instead of singing about the blues, we sing about aliens?
What if it's an alien singing the blues?
Oh.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one. I mean, Thom wrote these lyrics after Radiohead was in a band, right? Because they started becoming a band in high school, but he wrote them in college. He wrote a poem where he imagined that he was an alien watching humans. And so in this song, he talks about that. He kind of twists that idea through the eyes of a human speaker who gets abducted and then knows that nobody's going to believe his story once he tries to talk about what he's experienced. Just kind of a lot going on lyrically. I really like the just repeating guitar riff in here. Do-do-do. Like, that's really good. It creates that homesick, longing kind of feeling. One of the things they wanted to do on Subterranean Homesick Alien was they wanted to imitate Miles Davis's jazzy tones with their keyboards. So that's kind of what they did. They just made them sound not like guitars and kind of created this dreamscape world floating hundreds of miles above the earth in a spaceship. Just cool stuff.
See, now this is a track where his singing works, unlike Airbag.
Yeah.
It fits the rest of the song better.
Because it's floatier and less crunchy like Airbag?
Yeah, I guess. And also he just has a little more movement to his voice.
Yeah.
Airbag felt somehow monotone in a way.
Yeah, I get that. Plus, here he gets a little bit of a chance to put a bit more of an edge on his voice. They're all uptight. He gets to kind of a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That kind of adds a nice dimension to him.
Sure.
Wow, I just love this. I'd tell all my friends, but they'd never believe me. They'd think that I finally lost it completely. I'd show them the stars and the meaning of life. They'd shut me away, but I'd be all right. Like, even if I had all the answers, what good would it be? People just wouldn't listen. I think that's great.
I feel that.
Yeah, I know, right?
I've got all the answers.
I don't believe you.
Yeah. Could have seen that one coming.
I'm trying to make this album relatable to you. Although I don't know if you want to relate too heavily to this album. Again, it is a little dark and heavy.
Did you pay somebody to wreck my car so that I would really...
Oh, for the Airbag song? Yes.
He's sick. What's that?
What's what?
You don't hear that?
No.
You can't hear it? It's getting louder.
No, I can't hear it at all.
Wait, it sounds like exit music.
Oh, well, exit music. What could that be for?
Maybe it's... Are we in a film?
Thankfully, no, we're just on a podcast. If it were exit music for a podcast, we'd have to stop. But since it's exit music for a film, we could keep talking.
Yeah, that's coming later.
Yeah, exit music for a podcast comes on at the end of the episode.
Yeah, we're not ready to talk about that one yet.
Exit music is a wild song. This is the song that they wrote, remember, for the Romeo and Juliet movie in 1966. It's another song that's been ranked among the band's best. Because it was commissioned for Romeo and Juliet, the initial concept was that Thom tried to write bits of Romeo and Juliet into the song, like lines from the play or moments that the characters are a part of, but he kind of gave up on that because that's a little campy. It's not very Radiohead.
Yeah, it's no Hitchhiker's Guide.
No, yeah, it's too Shakespeare, not enough whoever did Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I should know that, but I don't. So Thom said, I saw the Zeffirelli version of Romeo and Juliet when I was 13, and I cried my eyes out because I couldn't understand why the morning after they got it on, they didn't just run away. It's a song for two people who should run away before all the bad stuff starts.
Douglas Adams.
Douglas Adams, is that who did Hitchhiker?
He wrote the comic science fiction novel.
Okay.
I don't know who did the radio show.
Well, me either. Little too Billy Shakes, not enough Doug. Anyway, a song for people who should run before the bad stuff starts. It's ominous, this song is.
It is. I like it.
It fits the tragic ending of Romeo and Juliet.
I'm a little disappointed it's not the last track.
I know.
Just be based off the title.
Exit music should be the last one. I've always thought the same thing. I also...
Sorry. What a weird coincidence of life.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's walk through the coincidences it took to get here. Back on the Machine Gun Kelly episode, I dubbed myself as Salmon.
You did.
And you dubbed yourself as E.T.
Yeah.
Right?
The aliens, E.T. and Salmon.
Yeah.
Because he did Kevin and Barracuda. He said, what would our alien names be?
And then 3, 4, however many years later, here we are doing Radiohead Part 2 because I eviscerated Kid A.
You did.
Here we are doing OK Computer, which is got songs inspired by Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which led to you asking who did it, which led to me Googling Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which led me to the Google summary that says it was by Douglas Adams, which led me to then look at other recommended books, of which one of them, written by Douglas Adams, The Salmon of Doubt.
Oh.
Written by Douglas Adams. It says Hitchhiking the Galaxy at the bottom, so I don't know if it's at all related. but it's called The Salmon of Doubt. It is a posthumously published book by Douglas Adams, which serves as a collection of previously unpublished material.
Whoa. Oh, small world. Small galaxy.
That's what a weird coincidence.
It is.
Anyway,
exit music for a film. Conceptually, talking about how, it should end the album and it doesn't. I always get it confused, just on a concept level again, with motion picture soundtrack from Kid A. Exit music for a film, motion picture soundtrack. I was like, what? It's so confusing. Radiohead's got all these motion picture songs, but that's okay. Man, what a sound on exit music for a film. This is one that they really liked playing around in their mansion space for. They used a giant stone staircase to get the natural reverb. And actually, Thom compared the opening of exit music for a film to Johnny Cash's At Folsom Prison, a record you ought to know. Ultimately, Thom would go on to say that exit music was, like I said, the first performance we'd ever recorded where every note of it made my head spin. Something I could turn up really, really loud and not wince at any moment. And that's cool. What a great way to feel about a project. I like the subtlety of exit music. And also famous covers of the song include versions by Kelly Clarkson and Vampire Weekend, which is pretty hard to imagine.
which one's hard to imagine?
Vampire Weekend doing exit music is a little tough to figure. I mean, knowing how they sound and having heard, so much stuff from their self-titled album, I can't picture exit music for a film in the style of like Oxford Comma or A-Punk or whatever. It's not clicking, but I'm sure it's good.
But Kelly Clarkson,
She nails it, I'm sure.
that one's okay.
Yeah, it's great.
That one clicks.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I really like exit music.
Yeah, it's not bad. We're in a really strong stretch of the album.
We're going into the strongest stretch of the album right here.
Yeah, with Let Down up next. Oh, man. The first thing you notice when you start Let Down is the arpeggios. The instruments, they're all layered and they're working in different rhythms and patterns.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
My very first note in all caps. Arpeggio.
Me too. Not even joking.
Awesome.
Yeah, the instruments all play in different rhythms and patterns, even time signatures. Like, that's complicated musical stuff, but Johnny Greenwood's in there playing in a different time signature for Let Down. Oh, it's just so remarkable. So musically awesome. Let Down came out as a single in September of 97. It might be the first Radiohead song released in my lifetime. But it went to number 29 on the US Modern Rock Tracks chart, and it's a fun one. They did most of the recording at 3 a.m. in the mansion's ballroom, so that gives it a whole new layer of eeriness. Thom also had 2 other verses queued up instead of the third verse that exists, but neither of the verses kind of felt right to him, so they smushed them together into the existing last verse, which is kind of a fun way to do it.
It's so interesting how he slurs some of the lyrics together on this one.
Yeah, on quite a few songs. That's one of his trademark kind of things, is lets his words run together.
Yeah, it's just, this one it's a little more noticeable, I guess. I don't know why, but it stuck out to me a lot more.
Yeah, I get that.
And I guess it's probably because it was on the hook of the title, Let Down and Hang Around.
Yeah, you're right. That does make it very noticeable. It's more familiar territory in terms of lyrics. It's about the fear of being trapped. Thom said it's about that feeling you get when you're in transit, but you're not in control of it. You just go past thousands of places and thousands of people, and you're completely removed from it. And he talks so much about it, in these lyrics, the emptiest of feelings. Disappointed people clinging onto bottles. It's so disappointed, crushed like a bug in the ground. He said that sentimentality is being emotional for the sake of it. We're bombarded with sentiment, people emoting, and that's the letdown, feeling like every emotion is fake, or rather, every emotion is on the same plane, whether it's a car advert or a pop song. Letdown is kind of coming to the realization that everything is just static noise, right?
Yeah.
Sentimentality is, in this paradigm, it's an illusion. Don't get sentimental. It always ends up drivel. Wow. What a track. I just love the sound of it.
It's a great track.
The melody, the arpeggio is just off the charts. One of the coolest instrumental songs Radiohead's ever made.
Like I said, a real strong section of the album.
Yeah. Actually, Let Down saw a very recent resurgence. In June of 2025, like a few months ago, TikTok got a hold of this one, and they ran with it. In 2025, Let Down ended up climbing to the top 20 of the Bubbling Under Hot 100. That was Radiohead's first time on the Hot Rock and Alternative charts since Creep in 1992.
Oh, wow.
What strange times we live in.
Yeah.
That this 20-year-old Radiohead song almost 30-year-old Radiohead song. Oh my gosh. It's in the charts. They Kate Bushed it.
Well, the Kate Bush one was because of Netflix, right?
Yeah, it was.
Because of Stranger Things.
But the effect was the same.
True.
But that strong stretch of the album continues with Karma Police, another one of the band's all-time greats.
I'll be honest, I got into a weird headspace during this part of the album.
Yeah?
It didn't affect me. It's just I kept looking at the titles of these songs. It's kind of like you were with other Radiohead songs from Kid A, right?
Sure.
But mine wasn't other Radiohead songs from Kid A. Mine was like Let Down for some reason. I saw that and immediately went to Look Down from Les Mis.
Oh, Let Down.
Yeah. And then
Don't tell me this was Culture Club.
maybe.
Maybe. I know you weren't going Karma Police.
I might have been.
Oh, no.
I don't want to disappoint you, but I can't lie to you either.
Thank goodness you can't lie to me. The Mixtaper can do all that. I get enough of that from him.
Yeah.
Well, Karma Police, for better or for worse, is not Karma Chameleon.
Yeah, it's like sometimes that stuff messes with my perception of the song. This didn't, but it was just weird that I kept doing it.
Yeah, well, they're so different.
Yeah.
Karma Police was the second single from the album, right after Paranoid Android, and it's a song about mental health and capitalism, karma, the whole works. Very dystopian. Karma Police went to number 1 in Iceland and number 8 in the UK, and it went to number 14 on the US Modern Rock Tracks chart, and it's Rolling Stone's 279th greatest song of all time, a feat that no other song can boast.
Wow.
The title, Karma Police, it's an inside joke, much like I'm thinking of, again, Def Leppard with their Fun Police, right? But the Karma Police was a joke that the band had. They said they would call the Karma Police when they caught people doing something bad. When a band member acted up or somebody did something annoying, they'd say, oh, the Karma Police are going to come get you. So they adapted that into the whole concept. Thom said it's about having people look at you in that certain way, malicious kind of way. Furthermore, he said it's a song that is for someone who has to work for a large company. This is a song against bosses. F the middle management. That's what he says about Karma Police. The chord progression on Karma Police kind of reminds me of Stairway to Heaven, actually, in some of those middle parts of the phrases. It's just such an interesting chord progression. Kind of feels all over the place until you put a vocal melody to it, and then it kind of all congeals into one big thing. How's Tom's voice doing here for you?
I said strong section of the album. It works.
Okay.
I didn't really care for the sound at the end of the song. The
You didn't like that? Interesting. The ending, they made it out of a lot of loops and samples. Obviously, sounds like feedback. Sounds like just a bunch of mess. But it's them kind of dipping their toes in and practicing what they would obviously do a ton later in their career. Niall Godric said, it was the first time we did anything like that. Just us in the studio and a forerunner of a lot of things to come, good and bad. And they did it a ton on Kid A. So it was kind of a practice run for that. No wonder you didn't like it if you didn't like Kid A.
Yeah.
What'd you think about, this For a Minute There, I Lost Myself section? So many good moments in this song. I've always really liked that. For a Minute There, I Lost Myself. The drums kind of turn into a march time. The background vocals kick up a little bit.
It's pretty good.
Thom said it's so ironic that for years people would write about the way I wrote lyrics as if it's some deep, heartfelt thing. It's not at all. He said that, much like the album art, he said it's like collage. It's like walking down the street and experiencing something and thinking, what would that be like if I stuck that in your face? So that's what Thom does. That's what Radiohead does. It's just, he takes little snapshots of life, smushes them together, and shoves them in your face. After Karma Police, we kind of get a little bit of an interlude-ish track in Fitter Happier. That song, if you can call it a song, it makes extensive use of Fred, the voice from Apple's Simple Text program. You probably recognize that voice well from the days of early, pre-AI text-to-speech. You ever do that? You remember in middle school computer class?
Yeah.
Putting things in text-to-speech and making it go
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah. That's what Fitter Happier is. They did it in the 90s. Very early stuff.
Wow.
Thom said that giving the lyrics to a robotic, inhuman voice was liberating for him on Fitter Happier.
Oh.
It's a very interesting song. The lyrics came from 10 minutes of Thom's free time while the rest of the band was playing other stuff and working other things out. I think he was writer's blocked and he just needed to get this out of his system. He said it was a lot of slogans for life in the 90s and called it the most upsetting thing I've ever written. It's very prescriptive. Fitter Happier is a very prescriptive song. You should be more productive. You should go to the gym. You should do better at work. You should eat well. You should be patient. Like, it's just an exhausting list of things that you just have to do if you want to live the best life. And there's so much pressure to meet this standard. And it's definitely upsetting. I mean, the song ends with a pig in a cage on antibiotics. Like, we just pacify ourselves into submissiveness. We trick ourselves into thinking that we're happy and we're okay and we're good. That's what Fitter Happier is all about.
Yeah. What's with all the pig stuff?
That's a great question.
I mean, it's here. We had it back on Paranoid Android with the crackle of pigskin.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't know. Maybe it's meant to be an Animal Farm type thing. Maybe it's just meant to compare humans to pigs. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Again, I think this is a intriguing track, but that doesn't mean it's a good track.
Well, this is the kind of stuff that is what tricks people into thinking OK Computer is a full-out concept album. Because it does feel like a good thematic summary for everything we've talked about so far and that we're going to talk about in the last 5 tracks. But yeah, it's not a work of genius, but it's a thought-provoking interlude at best.
Listen, if I was a super famous band, I'd probably put out a experimental track or two just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying there's not a place for it. I'm just saying I'm not surprised it's got the least amount of plays.
Well, no, you don't sit down and listen to this for fun.
Yeah.
But then they bounce back pretty heftily with Electioneering coming up next, one of Radiohead's heaviest songs of all time. And the cowbell? Heck yeah.
Need more of it.
Always, of course. Electioneering, it's inspired by the poll tax riots in Britain in 1990, and it's pretty close to the most overtly political that Radiohead gets. Thom said that I had been reading a lot of Chomsky, and I had that feeling when you read Chomsky that you want to get out and do something and realize that, in fact, you're impotent. So this is kind of his realizing that he's impotent. O'Brien also said that Electioneering draws parallels to the life of a touring musician. He said after a while you feel like a politician who has to kiss babies and shake hands all day long. You're just out there trying to maintain your image, trying to keep people's perception of you up, keep your name in the spotlight, keep people listening to your stuff. A lot of intense lyrics here too. Riot shields, voodoo economics, it's just business, cattle prods, and the IMF. And it's that same the corrupt politician energy. When I go forward, you go backwards. We've had a lot of weirdly political songs lately. This one, Def Leppard's Gods of War, a couple others. I think this one does it much better than Def Leppard tried to. This is a song that reminds me a lot more of The Bends. Just super rocky.
Yeah, this is like very rocky compared to the rest of the album.
Yeah, not in a way that it doesn't fit, though. I don't think it is too jarring of a...
No. It's a good position for a song like this.
Yeah, after an interlude, flipping the record over, or, cassette tape, or CD, whatever. You don't flip a CD over, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Good midpoint.
You're at about the 2/3 mark.
True.
Throwing a little something to spice it up.
Yeah, it's like a new corkscrew on the same roller coaster.
It actually does surprise me. This is the second least popular song on the album from our precious Spotify plays.
Yeah.
I would have expected it to do a little better.
I think if you're a fan of Radiohead, that probably means you're more of a fan of the other kind of Radiohead song that's not Electioneering. And so I think that's just what it is. I think a lot of people who listen to Radiohead tend to the other stuff like No Surprises and Lucky and Exit Music, Let Down, more than...
I like Exit Music, though. I like the Exit Music Let Down stuff as well.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that this more unique song doesn't get more love for its uniqueness.
That's true. Maybe it's because it's political.
That could be. I could see that.
Well, either way, it's a solid addition. Then we get into Climbing Up the Walls. This song is just a straight up strings, percussion, the works. Johnny Greenwood wrote a 16-part instrumental string part for Climbing Up the Walls. And he said, I got very excited at the prospect of doing string parts that didn't sound like Eleanor Rigby, which is what all string parts have sounded like for the past 30 years. Which is true. That just goes to show you the Beatles effect. Climbing Up the Walls is one of the darkest songs on here. Thom says it's about deinstitutionalizing mental health patients, and also a little bit about serial killers. He said of the song, that one's a bit of a mystery to me, to be honest. I used to work in a home for the severely mentally ill for a while in this little village, and I remember one of them escaping one night.
Wild.
Yeah, he was perfectly harmless, but he was really ill. He couldn't be out in society, but because it was a little village, it sort of stuck with me. This idea of this guy in the middle of a field and the police chasing him. He said, then I had read some newspaper piece about a normal domestic murder where obviously the person concerned was not well. I was fascinated in kind of a twisted way about about what it is that makes someone who can go through life and just snap one day and do something that you can't possibly imagine. And it was in the context that people don't get looked after like they should. Depression, for example, at the time, was something that everybody just went, well, you're just depressed. But now it can lead into other things. Like if someone gets ill, they can be a danger to themselves and to other people. And that's what I think about when I play it now. The Climbing Up the Walls is heavy. They kind of blow out his voice here on most of Climbing Up the Walls.
I was going to say, what are they doing to his voice?
They're distorting it. They're kind of muffling it up a little bit, adding a little crunch to it. It's different. It makes his voice sound more eerie, right? Lock the kids up safe tonight. Either way you turn, I'll be there. Open up your skull and I'll be there climbing up the walls. Ugh, creepy.
I also like Climbing Up the Walls, but I think it's because I like how it follows Electioneering.
Interesting. I would say Climbing Up the Walls is probably my least favorite song on the album.
That's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, it's 4 minutes and 45 seconds of listening to this distorted voice. So towards the end, I'm about sick of it. It overstays its welcome a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think Electioneering sets you up really well for this song. I don't know if I'd like it as much if I just threw it on out of nowhere, but...
That's true. Great point.
Off of a first listen, going back to back, that just goes to show where positioning of a song really can matter.
Yeah, definitely. And late in the album, too. Like, you're primed, you're in the Radiohead world and headspace of Thom Yorke.
Yeah.
A very moody headspace to be in.
Yeah.
So once you're, like, immersed in it, Climbing Up the Walls does hit differently. And then we get into what I think has recently become the biggest Radiohead song of all time. No surprises. I'm pretty sure it just passed Creep in terms of like streams, which is wild. You thought Creep was going to be undethronable, but who knew? No Surprises was the fourth and final single. It went to number 4 on the UK singles chart. It's just huge. It's got more than 1 billion streams on Spotify alone. And it was written while the band was on tour with REM from, episode 79. It's probably where Thom Yorke got the idea to start writing Michael Stipe-esque lyrics on tour with them. Thom said on No Surprises he was going for a Beach Boys Pet Sounds vibe with this song, which I think, frankly, he just nails. He said the glockenspiel and the childlike guitar sound set the mood for the whole album. So I know how you felt about Pet Sounds. I know all too well how you felt about Pet Sounds. How did you feel about No Surprises?
Yeah, his vocals don't do it for me on this one. It's another Airbag, which is nuts because it's such a popular song.
And it's so beautiful.
It is. I just think it'd be more beautiful sung by somebody else.
Wow. Maybe we should give it to Vampire Weekend. Well, it's a cool song.
No, the song itself is very cool, and maybe it would grow on me after more than one listen, his vocal version of it.
Yeah.
Because I really like the syncopation, I really like the lyrics, I really like the instrumentals. It was just the voice didn't do it for me.
Yeah, interesting. They tried to do a couple different takes and versions of No Surprises, but in the end, they were never able to improve more than the first take, so they just kept it. And obviously it's a slow song, right? They wanted it to be at a slow tempo. But what they wanted was slower than they could play live. It was slower than it was comfortable to play. It was like a challenge to slow it down enough. So they did the instrumentals faster when they recorded, and then they slowed down the tape when Thom did his vocals. And so that's why it has this extra eerie quality to it, because you're hearing things slower than they were actually recorded, which is so cool. Thom said the song is about someone who's trying hard to keep it together, but can't. He also has mentioned how the song is kind of about pollution and just us ruining the earth, because there's that opening line, right? A heart that's full up like a landfill. Thom said that he's got an unhealthy obsession of what to do with plastic boxes and plastic bottles. All this stuff is getting buried, the debris of our lives. It doesn't rot, it just stays there. And that's how we deal with stuff. That's how I deal with stuff. I bury it. And that's so interesting. There's like so much plastic litter in our lives, so many experiences and impressions that have been made on us that we just bury, and they don't erode and they don't decay. They become formative. They kind of stick with you.
Very interesting.
It is. And I have to say, No Surprises has one of the most memorable music videos I've ever seen. They recorded the song in one take. They had to do a lot of takes for the music video because it's a simple concept. It's Thom Yorke sitting there with a glass helmet on his head, and you can see the song lyrics scrolling up past his face, and then once he hits like the second verse, his helmet starts filling up with water slowly. So don't watch if that makes you anxious. But by the end of the third verse or whenever, his helmet is full and he just sits there motionless, right? It's a special helmet that he can drain in an emergency. But he couldn't hold his breath long enough to make it through the song, or to the part where the helmet is naturally supposed to drain. So, to help him hold his breath, they sped up the song as they were recording the music video. And when they sped up the song, they also increased the frame rate of the camera proportionally. So that way, when they synced the footage up with the real song and slowed the footage back down to match the tempo of the real song, you couldn't tell a difference in the frame rate, which is just wild. Very cool recording trick. Very innovative way to make a music video. And it's just so, I don't know, subtle, so understated, but so intense. Here's a gift from it.
That was a lot.
I know, right? Imagine that helmet filling all the way up, and he sits there for like 45 seconds or a minute with the helmet just full. It's so stressful.
That is stressful.
Yeah. Well, up next, penultimately, is Lucky. This was another fun accident song. We already talked about how this one was written for the Help album charity compilation. The band made the whole song in 5 hours in order to get it done for the album on time. And it came about because Ed O'Brien was just playing a dumb little sound by strumming up above the nut on his guitar, which, I mean, if you're looking at a guitar, the nut is the part where you have like the tuning pegs up top, and then the nut is that little white strip, and then it goes into the frets. So he's playing up above that, and that makes the strings sound really like twingy and high-pitched, and like they kind of emulate on the beginning of Lucky. The song itself is about a plane crash survivor. So once again, we're back into that familiar territory of transportation anxiety. Very common theme on the album. Highway interchange on the album cover really feels pretty logical, given that half the songs have been about, oh, I don't want to travel, I don't want to get in the car, I don't want to get in the plane.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like green eggs and ham, but without the food. No, I would not on a boat. I would not on a train. I just would not.
I would not in a car, ship, or plane. I'm just trying to get the plane to rhyme with train.
That's good. Yeah. I would not with a pig.
I like Lucky. Again, the voice is back for me.
It's really hit or miss for you, I guess. That makes sense.
It really is.
Well, and that works too, because if it's hit or miss on an album like OK Computer, then I think it's miss or miss on an album like Kid A, where all the songs are the same.
Yeah.
And so of one like type that if his voice doesn't work on one, it's not going to work on any of them. So it's good that there's a little variety on OK Computer, and sometimes you get hits. Lucky is remarkable. The absolute swell of Pull Me Out of the Air Crash, Pull Me Out of the Lake gets me every time. Gets me so good. I think this would also be a fine track to close the album. Honestly, it does feel like we're coming to the end.
It would have been, yeah.
But instead of closing with Lucky or Exit Music for a Film, we close instead with The Tourist, a more chill kind of song, a song that Greenwood says doesn't sound like Radiohead at all. And he's right. The Tourist is interesting because it's inspired by Thom and Johnny watching tourists in France and Prague run around like chickens with their heads cut off, right? Trying to cram in as many attractions and sightseeing things as fast as they could. And they're never really taking time to stop and smell the roses or savor what they're doing or where they are. Not trying to soak it in. They're just trying to get point A to point B to point C. Do. And that's it. That's stressful. That's no way to be. And so The Tourist kind of pushes back against that. That's why they wanted it as the closer, because Thom said a lot of the album was about background noise and everything moving too fast and not being able to keep up. He said it was really obvious to have Tourist as the last song. That song was written from me to me, saying, idiot, slow down. Because at that point I needed to. So that was the only resolution there could be, to slow down. I think The Tourist does a good job at conveying that message, forcing you into that. It's the second longest song on the album, so it sure does take its slowing down literally.
It does. And again, his voice is good on, I just don't, sometimes he's so monotone, or like so, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Because like, there's so much range and emotion to the way he even just sings that first lyric. It barks at no one else but me.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand why he isn't like that more often.
I don't know. That's a good point.
And I think it's part of the reason Creep is so popular, because it's that same thing, where the way he sings it is half the reason that song's so popular.
True. His delivery is very good on Creep.
Yeah.
And I would say a lot of other places. You would say less other places, but not no other places.
Yeah. Not no other places. Just less than probably you.
Yeah, reasonable. And the last thing that you hear on the album after slowing down, is the little twinkle of a triangle played by Phil Selway. That's how we end The Tourist. Very nice. The album comes full triangle. Well, are you ready to final spin?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of no surprises, it should be no surprise that I like OK Computer. I think it's a really strong album. I think it does a great job at setting a mood and keeping it. Musically, it's got a lot of good motion to it. It's innovative. I like the analog style. The mansion production is a really fun story. And I think this is a huge album in the evolution of music. Like, nobody was being Radiohead when Radiohead made this. And suddenly, boom, there's a million Radiohead copycats. And that should tell you all you need to know about the scope and the impact of OK Computer. It was so big that even Radiohead said, oh, we got to do something else. So I just think it's a really interesting album in the evolution of the album, which is cool. I'm giving the music a 91. I like most of these songs wholesale through and through. Climbing Up the Walls is all right. But even like you said, it's good in context, and that matters a lot for the album score. I'm giving the lyrics an 88. They're typical Radiohead lyrics. Not Radiohead's best lyrically, I don't think. But that same underlying dread is there, the anxiety, the inside jokes that they convert into really serious conceptual pieces. It's got all the bells and whistles, so an 88 there. Instruments and production, 91. They are great instrumentalists. I mean, even songwriting aside, just they execute really well. Johnny Greenwood's a great guitarist. I love the ways that they innovate with glockenspiels and computer voices and just all kinds of random things that make this album feel very vast. 91 on the instruments and the production. Overall vibe, 94. It doesn't leave you feeling happy, but it leaves you feeling, regardless of whether you like it or not. And I think that's important. So, 94 there. Overall, OK Computer's getting a 91.7, which means it lands on my spreadsheet at number 58.
58, another top hundo.
Another top hundo, but far from Kid A for me. It is above Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino and below American Idiot by Green Day, which is a concept album through and through. And just as a reminder for comparison, Kid A got 100 in the instruments and production and in the vibe. That album just is on a whole other level. It also got a 99 for its really experimental music and a 95 for lyrics, even though they're kind of pulled out of a hat. I think they're just what that album needs. Of the Radiohead albums I've scored, Kid A is the highest and OK Computer is the fourth highest, actually. There's still two Radiohead albums in between Kid A and OK Computer.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it is. But that's me. I don't think it's a redemption.
Dang.
Because I started with the one I like better. I mean, I don't think it's a redemption for me.
But you're in the minority there, you said, right? You said most people probably actually would put this one.
I think a lot would, yes. And I'm hopeful that you will too. I do think it'll be a proper redemption for you. Maybe the first time an album that I bring for redemption earns a higher score than its predecessor. Maybe.
Technically, other ones have scored higher.
Well, but the same number.
For me, the album's hit or miss. Not too many misses. There's some good stuff on here. I definitely think this is the better album. Spoiler alert there.
No surprise.
No surprise based on my comments, though, I think.
No alarms and no surprises.
Yeah. I think it's the better album. I think it's way more of the Radiohead style I like. There's a couple tracks I think if you cut from this becomes a very solid album. And the crazy thing is I think it's songs people wouldn't normally want cut, like Airbag. I think if Airbag went, I'd like this album more.
Okay.
Then there's things I would keep that I guess other people might maybe get rid of, like Electioneering. I would get rid of Fitter Happier.
It could go without too much damage to the albums.
Well, one, I think it clears up some of the confusion around if it's a concept album or not.
Exactly, yeah.
And I don't know. I get it. Like, if you're going to put something like this on here, just commit and make a concept album. If that's what you're doing, if you're like, hey, I want to do some cool experimental stuff like that, just commit to it. But if not, make an album with songs people actually want to listen to.
Dang.
That's this kind of stuff. It has a place. There's a whole art to it. If you're trying to make an album that people want to listen to the music, don't then get upset when people don't want to listen to a song you put on there that's just an AI voice reading.
No, it's not AI. That's before intelligence was added to it.
It's just artificial.
It's just artificial stupidity. It's AS.
It's ASS is what it is.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, so for me, this album, top 3 in album order.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Yeah, tricked you.
Very confusing. You're going for your Connor top 3 first. Then we'll figure out where you put this.
Yeah.
No way this album's in your top 3. That means it's a 10 or a 9.
Up first.
Airbag.
Exit music for a film.
Shoot! I thought I was right. Paranoid Android got snubbed. Wow. But exit music, I can't complain.
Up next, Let Down.
Yeah.
Followed up again, Karma Police.
Oh, I hope this middle bit of the album was enough to really hoist it up for you.
And then my honorable mention.
Whoop! You don't get one.
I don't get. You're right.
You overpicked on our last episode. You overclaimed on Def Leppard.
I did. No honorable mention, unfortunately. You'll never know.
Nope. It was Fitter Happier. You don't have to tell us.
I'm actually not even going to give a subtle hint to it.
Wow. Proud of you.
You don't get to know.
That's character development.
It is. Now for the moment you've been waiting for.
Oh, the salmon of truth.
My playlist pick.
Oh. Man,
Just delaying this for you.
I'm getting baited all over the place here.
My playlist pick is going to be exit music for a film.
Ooh,
Really liked that one.
very fun.
How about you?
That's interesting because it's so, understated and chill-ish, but intense.
Yeah.
Not bad. For me, my playlist pick, I appreciate songs like Paranoid Android and Karma Police. They've never been my favorites from this album, so I think it's disingenuous to take one of them as my favorite song. No Surprises is pretty good, but if I'm picking a song that I'm always like, oh, yes, like it always just gives me goosebumps when it comes on, it's Let Down.
Let Down's pretty good. I'm not going to say no to Let Down.
Uh-huh. I know. It's just gorgeous. I love the whole thing, beginning to end. The arpeggios to the twinkly little synth boops at the end. And now, be sure to follow us on social media. At Spin It Pod Official on Instagram and at Spin It Pod on X. And our website, www.spinitpod.com. Did you see I did the bait thing to you this time?
You did. But now it truly is time to tell a friend about the podcast.
No, I knew you were going to do it. It still makes me mad. Tell me your score.
Tell a friend who you think should have a sock puppet.
Ooh, an interesting choice.
Everybody's got that one friend that you're just like, you know what? You'd be a more interesting person if you had like a quirky little bit, and your bit should be sock puppet.
Yeah, I know a few.
Okay. We're officially out of things to pull the rug out with because the next thing is to say keep.
Yeah, can't do that.
We've got to actually give the score. So my score for this redemption.
Come on. Higher than a 2, baby.
Gotta beat a 2.
That's all I need.
6 better Christmases
6
out of 10.
We've tripled.
You tripled. Ooh, baby, a triple.
On better Christmases. This Thom Yorke's Goldfish had better Christmases this time around than the last one, that's for sure.
Yeah. They had a real bad Christmas last episode. This Christmas, I gave you my 6.
Yeah. 6 is great. That's a lot stronger.
Yeah. It's a lot stronger album. Now, as for where in the 6s, it is a lower 6. It's gonna go right below Parachutes, Losing Sleep.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not going to look at GIF 6 in the...
In the what?
6. It didn't have much. Not bad. That does, I think, make it the lowest score of the redemptions so far, but still such a big jump. The greatest gain. The most improved.
Yeah, that's so funny. The lowest redemption score, but yet the only one to, break out of its number.
Yep.
And go up.
I'm so curious if you would have liked the bends better. Like I said, if you're doing a second Radiohead episode, it has to be OK Computer. But I was really curious about the bends, or In Rainbows even, or just something else.
I just think maybe Radiohead is a 6 band for me.
Maybe. That's what you said about the Beach Boys.
Yeah. I just think they're one that they have a ceiling that only Creep can shatter.
Only Creep? That can't be true. We gotta find you some better Radiohead songs.
I'm a big fan of Creep.
I know.
It's a great song. Don't snub Creep.
I'm not snubbing Creep.
Overplayed, yes, but great.
And Pablo Honey is not... That's not a 6 album.
I didn't say that.
No, I know. Creep is just doing all the heavy lifting for that part of the band's career.
Yeah, listen, the band is a 6, except Creep shatters that.
Thom Yorke's a 10. That's why people go after his toenails. Anyway, this is weird. I feel like we have nothing else to do.
Yeah, we really, yeah, I don't know what to do from here.
Well, that's again, spinitpod.com. Like, follow, rate, subscribe.
Yep.
Sock Puppet Friend.
Yep.
Keep spinning.
Keep spinning! Oh, wait.
Wait,
We have one more track to do.
what?
Yeah, we need to do exit music for our podcast now.
Oh, exit music for the podcast. It's already playing. Can't you hear it? What's that?
We said it would come later.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, it's here.
Exit music for a podcast. Well, this one went better than Romeo and Juliet. Thank goodness.
I mean, a lot of things went better than Romeo and Juliet. That was a tragedy.
Yeah. Romeo and Juliet, though. That was a comedy. That was a good adaptation. They took all the tragedy out of it. It was still pretty sad.
No, I'll be honest. Romeo and Juliet kind of slaps.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
What other classic tales do you think would be improved by gnomes?
Oh, by gnomes? I just thought you were gonna say what other like classic tales, modern day adaptations were good, and I was gonna say like Lion King was a good one.
No, only with garden gnomes. The Gnome King is just Hamlet. Gnomelet.
Gnomelet. Okay, but the title Gnomelet's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know why, but my brain just went to the weirdest. You were like, what other books? And I was in here trying to think of one, and my brain went 1980 Gnome.
1980 Gnome.
It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
Gnome Farm, if we're sticking with George Orwell.
How about Anomal Farm?
I just like Gnome Farm.
Gnome Farm. Gnome Farm and no surprises.
All gnomes are created equal, but
some
some gnomes are more equal than others.
What Radiohead song is better with gnomes?
Gnome surprises, right?
Gnome K Computer.
Exit music for a gnome.